This is called compass plant. Okay, so what does a compass normally do?
Tracks you.
What?
Tracks you.
Yeah, but what way does it point?
North.
North. Okay, if you take a look at this leafy compass plant here, it's facing north and south. Okay, so it's always going to point to your true north. Normally, this is an immature plant, so it hasn't grown tall yet, but there'll be a tall yellow flower up there, so that when the pioneers or Native Americans were navigating, going through these tall grass prairies, they could find this tall yellow plant, they could go to it, and then they could see which direction the leaves were and find out what kind of direction they needed to go or what direction they were going. So this is called compass plant. Then you guys can all grab one of these globes, all these here, and you can kind of rub it around in your fingers and your hands, and then smell your fingers and hands. You tell me, what does it smell like? Mint?
Lavender kind of. Lavender.
A little bit of lavender.
Does it smell lemony a little bit too?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I smell. I smell lemon. So this is called gray-headed coneflower. This is one of our earlier blooming plants in the prairie. So you don't have a lot of flowers left on them, but normally there would be pretty yellow petals going off the whole side of it. And so if you would have been here a month ago or so, you would have seen one big yellow sea of gray-headed coneflowers.
Are there some down there?
Yep, so there's all kinds of them out
It
there.
does.
Alright, so it sounds like you guys already found out about monarch butterflies, right? What do monarch butterflies love? Milkweed, yep. So that's what we got here. This plant's already flowered, and so normally it would have a bright orange flower on top of it that really helps attract those monarch butterflies, other butterflies, bees, birds, even bats. And so it has a great source of nectar for them, but an easy way to tell the milkweed apart is you pull the leaf off, and you can see that white substance coming out of it, and it's really sticky, and it looks like milk. So this is your milkweed right here. Alrighty, so this first plant we're going to look at, this is called cup plant. Okay, why do you think it's called cup plant? Yup, the leaves are in the form of a cup, and so what happens is we didn't get rain last night, but yet all the dew and the moisture that's collected on the stem and the leaves is then diverted down into that little cup looking leaf, and that plant's able to use that moisture as it needs. As the sun gets higher, it gets hotter out here, and it's able to use that moisture as needed, rather than like when it would have rained, you get all this rain and then all of a sudden they got nothing for a while. And so this plant's able to capture this moisture and use it as it's needed. And so this is called cup plant. This here, what do you think it's called?
Sunflower.
Half right.
Daisy.
Okay. It's a sunflower,
Black-eyed
but
Susan.
I'll pass this leaf around. Take a look at it.
It's not a sunflower.
Okay, look at the edge of this leaf. What does it look like?
Serrated.
Yeah, serrated.
Say, pass it around. There you see.
Okay, a blade. What kind of blade?
Razor blade.
Look like a saw blade maybe?
Yeah.
Something you cut wood with. So this is called a sawtooth sunflower. Okay, so the leaf looks on the edge like a saw blade, and so that's why we get it called a sawtooth sunflower. Now there's another kind of sunflower that looks almost identical, but the difference of that is the leaves are opposite sides and there's no serration on the edges. And so we say they have opposite leaves, so it looks pretty close to this. So what's the first letter of opposite? O. What's the first letter of oxeye? O. So we got oxeye sunflower if the leaves are on opposite sides with no serrations. And so that's kind of an easy way to try to remember some of these plants out here. What's the difference between where we've been and where we're standing at right now?
There's more plants.
Okay, kind of, yeah.
There's more hot.
There's a tree, okay. So when we're planning for habitat, we like to see a wide variety or a diversity of plants out here, which then translates to more animals. And so we never like to have just one monoculture out here. We like to see a diversity or a variety of plants out here. And so in a lot of our programs, when we're planning for habitat, we like to implement these shrubs or tree species out on the edge or little patches here and there, so that it gives the birds like pheasants, turkey, quail, partridge, whatever it may be, an area to go hide from birds up above that may be trying to find them, or the coyotes and the fox and raccoons and stuff that are in the grasses that could chase them down. And so this gives them a great opportunity to go hide in there Because I don't think you guys want to go walking through there, do you?
I don't.
No.
I don't think so. It's got all the thorns and it's really scratchy and really
Oh, I've
thick.
been in one of those
And so it's the
trees.
same way with the predators. The predators don't want to have to go walk through there. The hawks and eagles can't look at them from up above. So it gives them an area to go hide out. And a lot of these shrubbery plants or trees have a fruit on them. So this is wild plum behind us. And so it's got a really fruitful fruit on it that the different birds and animals can eat also. So it provides not only a place of camo or hideout, it also gives them a source of food.
I got wild plum trees.
Prairie plants and stuff. This right here, we got some prairie cordgrass, we got some sedges, some reeds canary, we got some dead trees you can see. This is indicating that we got a wetland out here. We're hydric soils. So, okay, we kind of got two different types of soils. We have a hydric or wet soil, where we have our mesic dry soils, which is going to be on the other side of this path here. And that's why we see the different species and flowers of plants compared to on this side. And so traditionally, Iowa had a lot of wetlands on our landscape. And so this is kind of signifies and can show how different, just in a stone throw away, how the vegetation can be different, the soils can be different. And then, like we said, the hydrology and stuff. And so we always like to see a great variety. That seems sustain different animals, different amphibians, mammals, and different things than you would see on this dry mesic prairie on the other side. So, prairie, or a healthy prairie, we have to do some different management things. And kind of the number one tool that we like to use is fire. Okay, and so this piece of property actually just got burned this last spring by the Croatovan Fire Department. And so that's something that we like to prescribe for different CRP plantings or different habitat areas, is to run a fire through it. Even dating back to Native Americans used fire as a tool to try to attract bison. And so after they would send fire through the landscape, the new fresh tasty plants would start to come up, the bison would find that, and they'd start to migrate to those areas. Then the Indians were able to hunt them and harvest them and stuff like that. And so there's a lot of different ways that you can use management. Another way is a lot of these prairie seeds that we plant are very, very hard. And so it takes different processes before they can germinate. And so sometimes it's just as simple as waiting a longer time in the ground, where they maybe will sit dormant for 3 to 5 years before they finally germinate. Other seeds will require, like we talked about, fire to go over the top before they actually germinate. And so there's a lot of different ways and tools that we can use fire or mowing to help control or improve our prairies. This right here, this pretty purple plant, is called gentian. And so this is a hydric plant that you'll find in areas that are wetter. And so you can see there's some different sedges. You can see the prairie cordgrass back there. And you can tell that this is a lot different than what we see behind us. And so this is gentian here. This is a really pretty hydric species. So, directly related to the prairie areas, but what's this?
A rock.
All right, that's the easy answer. The true answer, it's a glacial erratic. Okay, how do you think it got here?
Glaciers.
The glaciers, yep. So this rock probably came from Minnesota, northern Minnesota, up in Canada, and as the glaciers came down and started to melt and retreat, they left these glacial erratics. And so these maybe range from just small rock, and maybe you guys got in on picking rock out of cornfields, or all the way up to this size, or sometimes they'll get as big as a house. And so it really depends on the size of them. So that's why they call them glacial erratics. They came from the glaciers, and erratic basically means random placing. And so we see a lot of these in this landscape because of the way this northeast Iowa area was formed by the glaciers. So. And so this is just one of those 20, and we were actually just at a training the other day trying to identify, they call it the rusty patch bumblebee. And it's an endangered species of bee that we have here in Iowa, mainly northeast Iowa, that we're trying to identify and conserve the best we can so we can build up that population. But these bees are different species. We've seen a couple different ones. This one looks like an eastern common bumblebee, which isn't on the endangered species list. But these bumblebees, right now they're collecting nectar, so that in short time they're going to go to the oaks or in the woodlands and start to hibernate in that leaf litter. And so they'll burrow under the leaf litter, they'll hang out, hibernate throughout the winter months, and only the queens do that. All the other worker bees and the male bees aren't going to go hibernate, and so they end up dying from the freezing temps And then come next spring, the queen bees will slowly start to come out of hibernation and start to lay their eggs and stuff on these different flowering plants. And so right here you can see it's flown away now, but it was on this thistle plant, which isn't a native grass or forb that we planted out here. But right now it's got one of the highest powered nectar sources out here. Because you can see it's a lot of brown, a lot of dull yellow. You got some of these really bright purple plants, that gentian. You'll see they start to utilize that a lot right now before they start to go and hibernate. So even though it's not exactly what we planted, it's definitely something that they can utilize before they go hibernate. So we're going to send you guys on your way. Just keep following the path up to here. It'll go through the woods and then I'll take you to your next 2 stations. So thank you.